Hey guys, my name is Lucien Foort, aka Analog Kitchen. I'm a producer from Holland. I have been producing since the early 90s, and I'm happy to say that I was on the beginning forefront of the rave scene in the early 90s with a track called Quadrophonia. I have produced some progressive house music as Funk Function and Dutch Liquid later on, and I did an Essential mix in 2001. I've worked for radio in Holland as well, for 3FM. So yeah, that's me. I'm still making music, still performing, as I do believe that the relevance of this music industry is very important. So that's me. What does ADE mean for me? The Amsterdam Dance Event has been something that's been around for a long time. I do believe it's one of the most prominent and important conferences in the world at the moment, and I'm very proud to be a Dutch citizen, obviously, with this being in Holland. Before, it used to be the Winter Music Conference in Miami, but everything has migrated to Holland and presumably to Amsterdam. It's important because the whole music industry gets together here. So bookers, DJs, party organizers, and also aspiring artists who have a feeling or some love for the electronic dance music industry all meet together. And why Holland is the most predominant place that it should work in, or it works in, is because everything is condensed into a small area. It's not like you have to travel like miles and miles and miles to meet the actual person that you like. So for me, being in the industry for 35 years with somebody coming up to me who's only just started 6 months ago, it's easy to make a connection. And I do believe that that intimate character is one of the most important, predominant things that the ADE stands for. That's why I think ADE is important. Which artists do I want to meet during the ADE? If I was a party goer, I would probably go for the biggest artists that I can actually meet. But for me, it's all about catching up with friends. So I'm going to catch up with Kink, I'm going to catch up with Kolsch. I'm probably going to see Adam Beyer, I'm going to see Carl Cox, if that's possible. I'm going to see Elke Klein, I'm going to see Oliver Whiter. And basically, I don't really plan it. Those are the things that I have planned. But most of the time, it's just hanging at a bar, drinking. And when the drinks start flowing, that's when you start meeting people. So I'm also looking to meet new people. What sets me apart from other artists is that I do believe that I do like to think about what is relevant in today's market. I mean, there's not a lot of artists that can say that they have a career that spans over 35 years. And I can be the old guy saying, like, when we did it back in the day, that was the one thing that worked, and that's the way it should work. But I do believe that having been there on the beginning of the house electronic music scene and still being there, that the whole bridge in between past routines and past techniques, in terms of the new techniques, just to find a bridge between the two, that's what I do believe is the most relevant thing, and that's what I'm doing. With my live set, I'm not bringing a laptop, I'm not bringing any controllers, I'm bringing analog gear to the table. I'm actually performing without a laptop, which is very daunting because a laptop is a jack of all trades but a master of none, in a way. And I'm bringing all these different pieces of equipment, and I'm trying to actually work out how to manipulate the sound live on stage, which I do believe is something that sets me apart from a lot of artists out there. What got me into music? I just said that I was in the industry for 35 years, so let me delve back in. What got me into music is actually my mom. You have to understand that my father's from Suriname and my mom is from Aruba, and they both met each other in Dordrecht in Holland, as they were immigrants flying out of those countries, and they met each other in Dordrecht. But my mom specifically came to Holland to pursue a musical career. She met my father, and then things moved a little differently, because I was the first production that she made, actually. And then she portrayed all her abilities to make music and everything she knew. They portrayed it on me. They took me to music school. I studied jazz, I studied rock, I studied orchestra. So I play a lot of instruments. So basically, my mom was the driving force behind me actually taking up instruments and playing piano, playing drums, playing guitar, playing saxophone. There's a lot of instruments that I can actually play, which I didn't like at all. So that's why I got into the electronic dance music industry, having to say that if you use a saxophone in electronic music, it's not jazz. If you use a guitar, it's not rock. So the sheer amount of freedom in the electronic dance music industry is what got me into this kind of music. So I have to thank my mom. If I could change anything about the industry, what would it be? With the danger of sounding way too old, I actually don't like the format that music is presented in nowadays. It seems like the industry is pushing young artists in a way that they need to come out of the saloon shooting almost. I mean, if you're like 18 years old, you need to be a mixing engineer, mastering engineer, you need to be a sound guy, you need to be a lyricist, you need to be almost everything. And those are professions that are very long in itself already. If you look at most mastering engineers, they're way up in their 50s or even in their 60s. Same goes for sound engineers. Same goes to social media or marketing gurus. Those are professions that take a long time to master. And unfortunately, this industry is now pushing you to like be all these different entities into one. So what I would like to see from this industry is that they would cultivate talent a little bit more, that they would structure upcoming artists, not that they think after 2 years, why am I not sitting in a private jet flying around the world, but that they actually will cultivate their talent and that they will like nurture it and work on it. Like if you're a wine lover, which you probably might not be, but if you are, you know that a good wine, it takes years to just nurture and come up to taste. The same goes for the music industry. So high flyers, come fast and vanish fast. People that actually nurture their career might be there for a long time. I can say from experience after 35 years, I'm still there performing every weekend, and that happens because I took a long time developing my skill. So what I want from this industry is to actually look at that and maybe have a little bit of patience with the upcoming artists. What is the weirdest and funniest thing I have ever experienced during the ADE? Honest to God, I cannot remember, because after 5 days of ADE, I'm just happy that I'm just standing. So catch me again in 5 days and ask me that same question, and you might get an interesting answer. What tips would I give musicians or DJs that are just starting out? Okay, I just tapped on that a little bit on an earlier question. The advice that I would give you, and maybe it's just kicking in an open door here, but stay true to yourself, be patient, be humble. You know what I mean? Those are things that you need to have, and be ready to donate an organ to this industry. You cannot grab or gain from an industry if you don't give to the industry. It's very important for you to understand who you are and what the industry is that you want to be in, and be humble. You know, your time will come. Just keep cracking at it. No football player, no movie star, no painter, no any artist, nobody just came out of the saloon flying, shooting, and everything worked. You know, you have to make mistakes, learn from those mistakes, and that's what actually happens. And I have to say, like, nowadays there's so many good things, even with Bax-shop, for instance. I mean, you can get the gear you want, you can test it out, you can actually try something before you buy it. There's a lot of stuff that you can do that I didn't have when I started out, that I would have definitely liked to have had when I was starting out. I didn't have it. So you guys are in a lucky position to actually just like count to 10, think on what you want to do, and don't be afraid to ask for advice to people that you know that you can trust. Don't ask 100 people, because if you ask 100 people, you got 100 opinions. It's the same as having no opinion, but just 5 people that you trust. Go up to them, ask them, and most of all, have fun at what you're doing. That's the most important thing. If you don't take yourself too seriously, nobody's going to take yourself seriously. So it's just stay true to yourself, have patience, and have fun at what you're doing. And I'll catch you there in another 30 years. Trick question. What's my favorite gear? What is my favorite gear? It depends. I come from an era where there was no hard disk recording, so back in the days I used my 909 drum computer. I used a Roland TB303, and then slowly the samplers came in, so I had a Akai S1000, S1100, S3000, S5000, and now I migrated towards working with a Moog Mini Tower. I work with a MPC Live. I work with an Octatrack. I work with a Tetra by Dave Smith. I also work with a multi-clock by ERM. I've got modular sound. You don't really want to ask me what kind of gear I have, because my studio is too big and it's way too much gear that I probably not can use at the same time. But I cannot pick one piece of gear. It depends, and as the market progresses and develops, I tend to develop with the market. So I use gear that is relevant to the sound of now. So, but I have got a strong love for analog gear, which is why I've got the Moog logo tattooed here and the TR909 tattooed over here. So those are probably the two most predominant pieces of gear that started the whole electronic dance music industry, which, if you have to ask me with a knife on my throat, what do you love? I will go for a 909 and a Moog synthesizer. I hope that answers your question. What can we expect from you in 2020? Hopefully, if my fans still love me, I will still be here. I mean, this industry is all about developing your skill. It's about being humble, but it's also about your fans acknowledging who you are. So, lucky enough, I'm still in the game after a long time. I've been there from the very early beginnings in 1988, and I'm still here. So, what can you expect from me? The same as what you can expect from me today. Positive music, adrenaline, a kick-ass time on a dance floor, and maybe a laugh or two at the bar, and not being too serious about the whole industry. That's what you can expect from me. I drink my coffee black, with no sugar or milk. The pure thing. I drink my coffee analog. Yo, what's up? My name is Lucien Foort, aka Analog Kitchen. You can find me in all the socials, Facebook and Twitter, and of course also on Instagram, which is all at Analog Kitchen Music. And yeah, just keep your eye on this space, and I will catch you there. Peace. Be good.